What is up guys, my name is Pocketcraft and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to share the top 50 Cobblemon add-ons and side mods. There are some incredible mods in here, so make sure to stick around to the end of the video so you don't miss out on any of them, and the links for all of them are down in the description. And if you find this video helpful at all, please consider hitting that subscribe button. We're really pushing to 20k subscribers and we'd love to have you as part of the team. To start us off, we have the Pokemon's data pack. This is an awesome data pack that adds a bunch of legendary Pokemon into the game. It adds a limited number of legendaries, but it adds a lot of really cool ones like Cubfu that several of the other mods don't add. It's pretty simple to use. The spawn locations for all of them will be on the mods page. Next up, we have what I think are two of the best mods in all of Cobblemon. We'll start with the Radical Cobblemon Trainers mod. This mod adds in gym leaders and other NPCs that you can fight in the game. This makes the game way more fun and adds in a story mode which Cobblemon desperately needs. But unfortunately, the Radical Cobblemon Trainers mod just has gym leaders wandering around and doesn't add a structure. So our next mod, the Radical Structures mod, adds these awesome custom gyms for each of the Kanto gym leaders. This makes the game so much more immersive and allows you to hunt down individual gyms and gym leaders to complete your Pokemon journey. You may have noticed this next one, and that's the Minecraft Day Counter mod. Now this mod technically works for any Minecraft game, not just Cobblemon, but since 100-day challenges are so popular in Cobblemon, I figured I would include it in case any of you want to do one. Speaking of 100-day challenges, I have an awesome 100-day hardcore Nuzlocke challenge I'm doing with the Radical Trainers and Structures mod, and so I'll link that in the description if you want to check it out. If you don't like the Radical Cobblemon Trainers mod, but you still want gym leaders, there is another way. Cobblemon is currently working on adding NPCs and gym leaders, and there's some functionality enabled, but it's not all the way there yet. The Cobblemon Indigo mod utilizes this functionality to create some gym leaders in the game. For example, here's Brock. It gives his little spiel here and gives you the opportunity to battle him, which is really fun. Unfortunately, he looks kind of derpy, but he does follow the cool Cobblemon battle animations that are new in the game. As you saw, he throws his ball out there. Unfortunately, they don't have any skins with him. It would be a lot cooler if they did, but I really like how it shows leader Brock up here in the corner. The one main downside with this mod, the only reason I would say it's not as good, is they currently only allow you to spawn in trainers with commands. So you can't really do this if you're playing without cheats enabled. Hopefully they will continue to update this though, and they will eventually have the trainers naturally spawning in the world. The other plus with this mod is it just uses the teams from Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, so the gym leaders are not nearly as hard to beat as the Radical Trainers mod. But the animations are super sweet, so this is promising for when Cobblemon finally adds gym leaders in the game. The Cobblemon Tweaks mod. This is a super sweet mod that adds some awesome quality of life improvements. One of my favorites is that it allows you to do way more in a PC box. You can search for a specific Pokemon like Charizard and it'll highlight them so you can see that he's here. Or my favorite, you can actually name your PC boxes. So if you want a shiny box, then you can name that here, and this is your shiny PC box, which is one of my favorite things to do. It also shows your Pokemon stats here over to the left, and you can also change the wallpaper of the box to a bunch of different colors, whichever one you like. Some of them are kind of horrific, but some might be a little bit cooler and give a unique feel to your PC boxes. Next up is one of the more useful mods for competitive battling, and that's the Simple TMs mod. This introduces two kinds of TMs. There are traditional TMs that you can find from knocking out Pokemon or in special loot chests, and then you can use these to teach a move to your Pokemon. So for example, I just taught Blastoise Hydro Cannon, and then you can go in here to the normal moves area, scroll down until you find Hydro Cannon or whatever move you used. And then there's also what are called blank TMs. Now these are really fun. You right click with it and click on one of your Pokemon, and then for example, I can click on Dragon Ascent here, and it creates a TM for the move Dragon Ascent, or whichever move you click on. So then if one of your Pokemon has a good move, you can copy it with a blank TM and give it to one of your other Pokemon. These can be crafted and then they can be found as well. Next up, we have one of the more popular legendary Pokemon mods, and that's Cobblemon Legends Untold Reborn. This was formerly Cobblemon Legendary Structures, then Cobblemon Legends Untold, and now for 1.6, they have Cobblemon Legends Untold Reborn. This game adds a few different legendary Pokemon, not a ton, but the legendary birds, Moltres, Zapdos, and Articuno will spawn randomly in the world, and then there will be certain structures that you can find to find the other legendary Pokemon, namely Rayquaza, Mewtwo, Mew, and a few others. Although this mod doesn't add as many legendary Pokemon as some of the other ones we're going to talk about in this video, I still think it's a really good mod because it adds the structures, which are a really fun hunt to find in the game. Next up is an oldie but a goodie that has to be included in every single mod list, and that is the Cobblemon Rider mod. This mod allows you to ride on and fly around on your Pokemon. There's no mod that can beat this. This makes Cobblemon so immersive and so much fun, and it is ridiculous to play the game without this mod. Next up is one of my personal favorites, and it's Cobblemon Mega Showdown. This is a relatively new mod that adds mega evolutions like Mega Rayquaza into the game. Since it's relatively new, there are still a few bugs, but it's definitely a great alternative if you don't want to use Ascension Mega Mons. And just look at this guy. You can't tell me you don't want a Pokemon like this in your world. It does require a few dependencies though, so you'll need Trinkets and Super Martin. They're pretty easy to find on Curse Forge and Modern. This next one I'm really excited about, and that is the Waystones mod. Have you ever been so tired of running around in your world for thousands of blocks to get to different biomes? Well, with the Waystones mod, you don't have to do this anymore. You can craft Waystones and then name them whatever they are. So for example, forest biome, and then you save it. Then when I interact with the Waystone, I can teleport to any other Waystone I've previously interacted. So you can put one of these at your base and all around the world to quickly teleport wherever you need to go. These also work on servers, which is a great workaround if you don't know how to do the /teleport command. Next up, we have another quality of life improvement mod, and this is the Cobblemon Move Inspector mod. This mod makes it so that whenever you hover over a move in battle, it will give you a description of what that move does, its power, and its accuracy. You can see here with Water Pulse, it even gives you the chance of making the other Pokemon confused. I don't know about you, but I often forget what moves do in Pokemon in general, and so it's really useful to be able to have this mod here, especially if you're using lots of different Pokemon. It just helps to keep things straight. The next mod is called Cobblemon Armors mod, and this mod is so much fun. It adds in several different armor forms from the evil teams in the normal Pokemon games. Let's be honest, all of us have wanted to be on one of these teams before, and now you have the chance to look just like it. Best of all, these armors make it way more immersive because they actually add special buffs related to their teams. For example, this one right here, if you look in the corner, gives me fire resistance because it's the Team Magma outfit, but only if I have a fire Pokemon in my team and no water Pokemon. Team Aqua gives you Dolphin's Grace, and you can look at all of the buffs and crafting recipes on the mod's website, which will be linked below. Speaking of Team Magma, this next mod is called Cobblemon All the Mons, and as its name suggests, its goal is to add all of the unadded Pokemon in Cobblemon. It doesn't completely have all of them, but it does have models for a bunch of the Pokemon that aren't in vanilla Cobblemon, like Groudon, Kyogre, and so many more. So it's a great mod for getting legendary Pokemon in the game. This next mod is one that's really helpful if you're playing with the Radical Red mod or any other mod that adds gym leaders. And this is the Cobblemon Badge Box mod. This allows you to craft a badge box with 1 red wool, 3 white wool, in any chest. You can open the badge by right-clicking it, and this mod even comes with some custom badges that can go in here. The custom badges added from this mod are these top ones here. But if that's not enough badges for you, you can add the Cobblemon Badges mod, which adds 20 more badges. I personally like these ones more actually. They're these bottom ones here that look like the symbols you would find on Pokemon cards. I think these are really fun. They have one for every single Pokemon type as well as Rainbow and Elemental, which is pretty interesting. Have you ever wanted your starter Pokemon to be an absolute monster? If so, the Cobblemon Fixed Starter IV mod is the perfect one for you. This mod allows you to control your starter Pokemon's IVs, meaning you can make them perfect if you would like to. And look at Charizard's yawn there. I think that's a really cool feature that the developers have added, which brings a lot more life to the game. In order to change their IVs, you'll need to go into your folder for Cobblemon, click on Config, and then click on fixedstarterivs.json. And this allows you to set this fixed IV value. So you could put this as 0, but obviously that would be bad. Now 31 is the best that you could have in an IV, so this is what you would want, and this will make your starter Pokemon way more powerful. Now after your Pokemon has perfect IVs, if you want it even more powerful, you'll need to help it have perfect EVs. And I have a video talking about the best strategy for helping your Pokemon have perfect EVs, and I'll link that in the description below. Now I know there's going to be some of you in the comments complaining that this is cheating, because that happens every time I mention changing the config file to change the shiny rate. But since Cobblemon is typically a single player game with no real objective other than to have fun, I don't know that you really can cheat, especially since the Cobblemon allows you to change the config file as much as you want. I think you're totally fine to do it. Now these next two mods are oldies but goodies, and I don't think any list of Cobblemon mods would be complete without them. The first one is Zero's Minecraft minimap. As you can see in the top right corner here, this adds a minimap that has the cardinal directions on it, so I can know if I'm traveling north or west. And my favorite thing that you can do with it is by pressing the U button, you can add waypoints, and so I can label this as home or village or mine or whatever you want it to be. And then when you click confirm, this will show up on the minimap here. And then if I get out of range like I just did, I can see here that it'll show home and it'll show me the exact distance to it, which is super nice for traveling. I don't know about you guys, but I literally always get lost when I'm playing normal Minecraft, and so this mod is a lifesaver for navigation, and it's really important in Cobblemon since you usually need to go to every biome possible if you want to catch all of the Pokemon. But this next mod, Heroes Cobblemon data pack, and specifically the Shiny Stars version, makes this far better. Because now, as you look at the map, it also includes Pokemon and their relative locations to me. Now, they're pretty cramped here, but if I go into the settings, I can change their size, and I can change the zoom to be closer in. And here you can see it's a lot easier to see. I've got a Miltank right here, a Pidgey over there, and the Shiny Stars version makes it far better, because that way if a shiny Pokemon is on the map, you can see here by looking at the map that it will show these stars next to it. This is really useful because you can only tell if a Pokemon is shiny if you're looking right at it. So shiny hunting without this is pretty much impossible because you'll be walking past shiny Pokemon all the time without even knowing it. The same goes for rare Pokemon as well. I can't tell you how many starter Pokemon I found by seeing them at the edge of my map. So I really don't think you should ever play Cobblemon without using these two mods. Cobblemon Show Held Items mod. This is one of my favorite mods of all time because if you give your Pokemon an item, they will hold it. So with a Master Ball or something, it looks kind of lame, but if you give your Pokemon a diamond sword or sunglasses, it makes it look way more cool and immersive. Or even if you're using a battle item like leftovers, then you can actually see them holding that item during battle, which I think is so much fun. And I think I forgot to mention it, but all of these mods are for Cobblemon 1.6. Most of them will work on older versions and hopefully newer versions as they come out, but as of time of recording, these are all for Cobblemon 1.6. And download links for the mod pack and individual mods will be in the description. This next mod solves so many problems. Have you ever been wandering out throughout your world, far away from a PC, and realized you needed a different Pokemon, and that you'd either have to farm for materials or go all the way back to your base to change your Pokemon out? Well, this mod, the Cobblemon Box Link mod, solves all of those issues. It creates this item right here, which is the Box Link item, and anytime you right-click with it, it opens up your PC just like the newer Pokemon games, and you can switch out your Pokemon without ever having to go home. Next up is one of my favorite all-time mods, and that is the Cobblemon Capture XP mod. So if you put an experience share on your Pokemon, and also look how adorable Squirtle looks with the experience share in the Show Held Items mod, and then you go and you catch a Pokemon, so for example, this level 70 Zapdos here, Squirtle is going to get that experience rather than only receiving it from battle. This is a huge quality of life improvement that makes it so much more fun and easy to level up your Pokemon. So Squirtle already from that one Pokemon went from level 1 to level 28. Now you may not always be catching level 70 Pokemon, but just having that bonus of leveling up whenever you catch a Pokemon makes the game way more fun for me. This next mod is one of the more stressful ones, but definitely makes the game more immersive. And that is the Cobblemon Flight or Flight mod. So with this enabled, when I go into survival mode, if I come up against a Pokemon here, it will attack me and can actually kill me. And then I can send out my Pokemon to defend me and protect me from dying. This gives the game a very Legends Arceus feel, and while it does make it more stressful, it can definitely make for a more fun playthrough. Next up is the Cobbled Gacha mod. This mod introduces a gacha machine which allows you to use extra relic coins to obtain capsules. Each of these capsules then will give you rare items. So for example, if I right click with it, you'll see that it gives me 10 berries. And then if I try this one here, I got Vivichokes, and this one gave me apricorn seeds. And now there's a large array of different items that you can get from these, some of them more rare than others. So I've gotten leftovers from here. Right now we just got 2 yellow gilded chests. And so this is a really fun way to put your extra relic coins to use and get some free items. Now, if you have a sharp eye, you may have already noticed this next one, and that is the Cobblemon Interface mod. Now, technically, this is a resource pack, and so you want to make sure you have this enabled in the resource pack folder. Now, this is by far one of my most favorite mods. As you can tell, if you look down at my hotbar, it makes all of it look more Pokemon styled, kind of like typical 3DS style, reminds me of Pokemon Black, White, Platinum. It also has some other really cool features. I don't know if you can hear or not, but it makes things sound like the Pokemon game when you click on things. So I may have to leave my music out here for a minute just so you can hear this. Well, that's a lot of fun. Not only that, on the main page here, before you open your world, it adds this incredible backdrop that looks so beautiful and definitely makes playing the game just feel a lot more immersive. Next up is one of the most popular legendary Pokemon mods, and that's Cobblemon Myths and Legends. This mod has been around for a long time and it works. Honestly, in my opinion, this isn't my favorite mod to use, but a lot of people love it, so I figured I should include it because it probably is the most powerful. This mod adds lots of legendaries, but in order to spawn them, not only do you have to be in the right biome, but you also have to be holding the correct item. So for example, to catch Kyogre, you have to be in the right ocean ocean biome, but you also have to have Heart of the Sea in your inventory. This makes catching legendaries a little bit more complicated, so if you really want a long story mode to make your Cobblemon adventure more interesting and not get as bored, then go for it. If you're like me and you want to just catch a legendary without having to go through a bunch of hassle, then maybe this isn't a mod for you. But this is a really popular one, so I thought I should include it in the list. These next 3 mods are for those of you who have a little bit of a dark side. The first one is called Cobblemon Shearums, which just enables you to shear many other Pokemon in Cobblemon. In vanilla Cobblemon, you can shear Wooloo and Mareep, but that's about it. But with Cobblemon Shearums, you can add other mods that allow you to shear pretty much any Pokemon. The next mod is called Cobblemon Unethical Resources, and this is actually a really cool mod that will shear your Pokemon, and you feel a little bit bad about it, but it also allows you to farm some really important resources. For example, you can shear Trevenant, and it will provide you with oak logs. Pretty much providing a way that if you had a bunch of Trevenant and you put them in a pasture block like this, you could farm them like you would wool from a Wooloo or Mareep, and then you could have a wood farm in Cobblemon, which is huge. You can look up the whole list of Pokemon that can be sheared on the website, but there's all sorts of cool ones. You can get magnets from Magnezone, and then it even will remove those from the Pokemon, making it look really realistic, which makes you feel a little bit bad. So if you don't want that, you can just have it in the data pack folder only, and you'll get the items without seeing the effect on the Pokemon. Now this next mod is not for the faint of heart. The Pokedex has always had some kind of creepy entries about how people and other Pokemon eat each other, but that's never really been a part of the games until now. With the Cobblemon Last Resort mod, you can shear your Pokemon, but unfortunately, rather than getting resources, you'll actually get food that you can eat. I don't know that I quite have the heart to do this, but if you're in a pinch, you need some extra food, you can eat some Slowpoke tail. Next up is Cobblemon Noology. If you use the old mod Cobblepedia, this is the newer and better version of that. This mod is super convenient. It's basically the Cobblemon wiki in Cobblemon, so you don't have to exit out and look at the website. As you can see here, it is a book of wisdom that helps you grow your wisdom, and you can click on different categories here, such as items to see what different items do and how to craft it. It works with typical Minecraft items, which is really useful, but it also has specific Cobblemon section where you can look at how fossils work. It also tells you where to find these fossils, which is really nice. It can tell you about ancient Pokeballs and any other item in Cobblemon. So if you're not sure how to play Cobblemon, this mod can be really useful for you. It can be a little confusing sometimes as well, and I know I personally like to see things visually, so I have a ton of tutorials on my channel, including an entire Cobblemon survival guide with tips and tricks on how to play Cobblemon, as well as a video about the top 100 tips and tricks for Cobblemon. So feel free to check that out on my channel if you're still pretty new to Cobblemon. And even if you're not new, I bet you can learn something new. Speaking of that, this is a great time to say if you've learned anything new in this video or enjoyed it at all, please hit that subscribe button. We're really pushing to 20k subscribers, and we'd love to have you as part of the team. Next up is a mod that's really helpful for finding shiny Pokemon and perfect IV Pokemon or Pokemon with hidden abilities. And this is the Cobblemon Unchained mod. With this mod, whenever you knock out a Pokemon, for example here when this poor Teddy Ursa gets demolished by Charizard, you can see here in the bottom left hand corner that my streak goes up. This is similar to features in some of the normal Pokemon games, and if you're able to get your streak up high enough, it increases your shiny chance, the chance of getting a Pokemon with a hidden ability or higher IVs. This is a really fun way to shiny hunt specific Pokemon, whereas Cobblemon usually is just kind of a general shiny hunting game. Obviously, this will be easiest with common Pokemon like Sentret, who spawn all over the place, whereas if you're doing this with something like Dratini, it's going to take you a while to find enough of them. This next mod is a newer one, but it's one I'm seriously excited about, and I think is one of the coolest mods to ever be in Cobblemon. And this is the Pasture Collector mod. This introduces an item called the Pasture Bin, which is crafted using 3 iron ingots on either side with a total of 6, and then 2 pieces of stone. You can then place this item near a pasture block, and as you can see, I right-clicked this and beef came out, and you're probably wondering why, and that's because as I was testing this out, I put 2 Bouffalante in here. And what's amazing about this right here is it farms whatever item is in the loot table from the Pokemon that you put in here. This is revolutionary and essentially allows you to farm any item in Cobblemon, with only a few minor exceptions. The greatest thing is that you can even hook this up to a hopper with a chest, meaning that you can create an automatic beef farm in Cobblemon, or an automatic of almost any item in Cobblemon. Now it does take some time to generate. As you can see there, when it smokes like that is when the item appears, and it dropped in brown wool, right? Because that is another thing that is in their loot table. And so as far as I understand, it's pretty random. It'll just pick a random item from the Pokemon's loot table in there. So if you're trying to get a specific item, I would only put one kind of Pokemon in there. If you don't care and you just want some kind of random farm, then feel free to put in as many Pokemon as you want of items that you think would be cool, and you can just wait here, and this is going to farm them for you automatically. Place this near your base, and you will be rolling in rare items in no time. This is definitely something I'm going to need to add to my Let's Play series because I think it's a game changer. Coming up next, we have the Cobblenav mod. This one is so much fun. It adds the Pokenav item, which basically allows you to figure out which Pokemon spawn near you at any time. So this is a ton of fun because this is going to be really useful with some of the mods we're showing later on. If you're playing in creative or you have cheats enabled, then you can just do the check spawn command to see what kind of Pokemon are spawning where you are, which is really useful for catching rare Pokemon. But unfortunately, if you don't have that, then you can just use the Pokenav here, and we can check and see exactly what Pokemon are here. What I love most is you can do this apply bucket chance, because one of the annoying things about Cobblemon spawns is they have rare, common, ultra rare buckets. And so if you see here, it looks like this Pachirisu, even though we can't tell that it's Pachirisu since we haven't caught it yet. It says that has a 35% chance of spawning, but that's just within its bucket. If we then apply the bucket chance, the actual chance of this Pokemon spawning is 1.8%. This makes it a lot easier to hunt Pokemon, then we know what we're really looking for. So when we come to our ultra rare Pokemon here, we see that Tapu Koko actually has a 0.01% chance of spawning, rather than the 1.93 that it's telling us that it has. And Cyndaquil here, rather than 11.56, the actual chance of it spawning is 0.02. Now this next mod is one of my favorite mods of all time, and it makes Cobblemon feel so much more immersive. That is the Livelier Pokemon mod. This mod does some really cool things. For example, it makes Charmander hide from the rain, just like he would in the anime. It also makes creepers run away from cat Pokemon, which I think is hilarious, right? So if we bring in a creeper here, it's going to immediately run away from this Meow, which also makes the game way more immersive. And my personal favorite is you can actually craft a Golurk, just like you would an Iron Golem, with its oxidized copper and jack-o'-lantern, and you get this incredible Golurk walking around, and I think that is definitely one of the most fun features, and it also allows you to get a really cool giant rare Pokemon without too much effort. Speaking of making Pokemon more lively, this next mod is a blast. Literally, the Cobble Boom mod makes it so that every single time you use an explosion move like self-destruct or explosion, there is an actual explosion in Minecraft. Now this can be really annoying around your base, so be careful about implementing this, but it can make for some really funny playthroughs, and it definitely makes the game more immersive. It's also a great way to clear some land really quickly if you want. Just catch a couple Voltorb and you can destroy land really fast without crafting TNT. This next mod is called Cobblemon 3D Pokerods. This is an awesome mod that just changes the texture of the normal Pokerods in Cobblemon, making them look a lot more realistic. Next up, we have a couple fun appearance mods. The first one here is the Cobble Hats mod. As you can tell, I'm wearing a Paris hat here, which can easily be spawned using 2 red mushrooms. Unfortunately, it doesn't show the actual recipes in Cobblemon, so you need to duplicate the resource pack, open it up, go to recipes here, and then here it'll have the recipes for each of the different hats, so you know how to craft them. It's a bit of a silly mod, but it's a fun one nonetheless, so I recommend using it if you enjoy making your Minecraft character look different. Our next one is another simple resource pack called the Cobblemon Classic Water mod, which changes the texture of water to match Gen 1 and Gen 2 Pokemon games. Now for me personally, it looks a little bit unnerving, so I don't know that I would do this, but for those of you classic lovers out there, this is a fun way to make your game more immersive. This next mod is the Poke Clothing mod, and it's another one for you classic lovers out there. This introduces different items that can be crafted from OG Pokemon characters. So for example, I was wearing Ash's outfit, and you can use cloth to craft these individually. So for example, there's also Misty's outfit, Brock, and Team Rocket. This is a purely aesthetic mod, but it's fun nonetheless, and so it's definitely one worth checking out. This next one is the Poke Center PC mod. This is a really simple one that just adds PCs into village Pokemon centers because they currently have healing machines but not PCs. It's a super simple addition, but it's one that I think is really useful. As a side note, the links to all of these mods will be in the description, but for some reason, sometimes Modrinth will change its URLs, and so if you find one leads to a 404 error, I would just recommend Googling the name of the mod, and it usually comes up anyways. But at the time of recording, all of these links do work. Next up is the Cobblemon Spawn Notifications mod. This mod is really awesome. Every time a shiny or legendary Pokemon spawns, it will notify you and give you the coordinates of that Pokemon. Now, as a forewarning, if you spawn a Pokemon in naturally in creative, just like right here where I go spawn Pokemon, let's go Dratini, shiny equals true, it's not going to notify me. And that's because I manually spawned it in. So this only works with Pokemon that actually spawn in naturally. So that threw me for a loop a little bit while I was testing, but it's a really useful mod. I'd recommend using it. It makes it a lot easier to find rare Pokemon. This next mod, called Cobble Breeding, allows you to breed in Cobblemon. If you put two Pokemon that are breeding compatible, so example, Pokemon of the same type that are different gender or the same egg group, or any Pokemon with a Ditto, they will have the chance to actually hatch an egg, and it will appear here in the back of the pasture block. Breeding is one of the most fun features in all of Cobblemon, and so I'm so glad they're including it, and hopefully Vanilla Cobblemon will add it soon. What's great is you can also use typical breeding mechanics with IVs like the Destiny Knot to breed perfect IV Pokemon in the game. And you can also do the Masuda method for easier shinies. Now it will take some time to make an egg, but if you wait around for long enough, then you can just right click it and you will get the Pokemon egg here. And what's really cool is they actually color these eggs, which I think makes the game look way more immersive. As you can tell, it looks like a Garchomp egg. And just like normal Pokemon, it will take some time, and it'll actually have a timer here where you can count down when the egg will hatch. This next mod is called Cobblemon Additions. This is an incredible mod that adds Pokemon centers, Pokemarts, and custom Pokemon villages that you can find throughout your world. Our next mod is called Cobble Furnies, which is just a simple furniture mod that adds chairs and other interesting furniture to your world, so you can make better builds like houses and Pokemon centers that are more realistic to what you find in the normal Pokemon games. This next mod is a really fun one called Cobble Dollars. Cobble Dollars introduces a really interesting mechanic that's like the normal Pokemon games, where you get money for knocking out wild Pokemon depending on their level. So after I knocked out that Dragonite there, you'll see in the bottom right corner that I gained 313 Cobble Dollars. This mod also introduces the Merchant Villager, and you can create a Merchant Villager by using a display case. And then you can trade your Cobble Dollars with the Merchant Villager for all sorts of interesting items. For example, you can get a Cherish Ball, which is a really fun item, and you can even buy Beast Balls and Master Balls, as well as Ancient Origin Balls. So there's some really cool things you can buy from it, and then you can also buy experience items, which is really awesome. This is kind of the only way to farm rare candies or experience candies in Cobblemon as of now. This next mod is the Cobblemon Repel mod. Now normally I wouldn't see a use for this unless you're using the Cobblemon Fight or Flight mod and you want your base to be a safe area. This adds in the repel items from normal Pokemon games, and if I place this down, it makes it so that within a certain radius, Pokemon can no longer spawn. So for example, the Repel is a 32 block radius, Super Repel 64, and Max Repel is 96. This is a great way to make your base more safe if you're playing with the Fight or Flight mod, or if for some reason you just don't want Pokemon spawning in a certain area. Theoretically, this could probably be used to limit spawns to a certain location if you're trying to set up some sort of farm, which could be a creative use of the mod. I haven't tested that personally, but if anyone has done that, comment down below. I think that'd be a really interesting idea. This next mod is the Wild Encounters Cobblemon mod, which is a really fun mod that allows you to find Pokemon spawning in tall grass, just like you would in the normal Pokemon games. This next mod is called Pokeloot, and it introduces Pokeballs, Great Balls, and Ultra Balls that spawn in your world, like in the normal Pokemon games, and when you interact with them, you'll get items from them. This is a really fun way to get rare items in your world, but sometimes I have found if you don't have a strong computer, it can lag your world out a little bit, so that's just something to be mindful about. Now this next mod is crazy, and one that I think is really enjoyable, and that is the Cobblemon Fight Them All mod. This mod makes it so that you can battle every single Minecraft mob. So as you can see here, a skeleton at level 22, and so I can battle him with my Blastoise just like any normal Pokemon battle, and they even have abilities, right, and different attacks. Now unfortunately it doesn't seem like you can catch the mob, which is a little bit lame. I think it'd be really fun to have a skeleton on your team, but I think there's probably some sort of way in the config that you could work around that, but you definitely have to look into that. Anyways, this is a really fun idea, and definitely a way to spice up your world and make it feel more immersive. And now last but not least, the mod you guys have all been waiting for, the best mod right now in Cobblemon 1.6, and in this mod pack is the Mystic Mons mod. This mod is technically a resource pack and a data pack, so you'll have to add it in both folders, which means if you're downloading the mod pack, you may have to download this individually, but the link will be down below. Same with the Cobblemon interface, you may have to download that separately as well. This mod is incredible, and it adds a ton of different legendary Pokemon to the game. I've used multiple mods before to add legendary Pokemon, but I think this is hands down the best one I've encountered so far that adds the most legendaries with the least amount of bugs. That's why if I check the ultra rare spawns right here, you can see that Tapu Bulu, Tapu Lele, Magarnia, and the other Tapus can all spawn in this area. Now if I go to a different biome, different legendary Pokemon can spawn. And the cool thing about this mod is they even let you enter the config files and change the spawn rates for Pokemon if you want to create a special story mode where when you get to the end, it's really common for Necrozma or Rayquaza or some Pokemon to spawn. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please check out this video right here where I teach you the top 100 tips and tricks for Cobblemon.